He bought a first-class ticket, but they asked him to step aside. The uniform he once wore still clung to their eyes. They didn't know who he had become, but they were about to find out. It all started with a quiet voice. "Excuse me, I believe that's my seat." The toilet in the first-class cabin smelled like lemon polish and old nerves. Eli crouched with practiced ease, wiping down the polished steel edges, headphones half tucked under his cap. A motivational voice hummed in his right ear, something about resilience, about grit. But Eli wasn't really listening anymore. He just needed the cadence, something steady. His gloves squeaked against the porcelain. The lights above buzzed in a tired rhythm, and far off, in the distance, came the distant thud of boarding gates closing. He moved quickly, with method, almost invisible, which was the idea. The mop bucket squeaked softly as he rolled it back toward the service closet, past plush curtains and abandoned neck pillows. "You've been in here a while." The voice came sharp, out of place in the hush. A woman in a navy pantsuit, ID tag swinging from her lanyard. "Supervisor." She didn't wait for a response. "This is a premium cabin. Let's not linger." Eli nodded once, not looking up. He closed the closet door gently behind him, heard the click of the latch, then the softer click of her heels retreating. He could still smell the vanilla lotion on her hands. He stepped into the hallway just as a man in a crisp suit breezed by, briefcase swinging. Behind him, two more talking low and fast. "They're saying he's a genius. Built the whole logistics back end himself. Some black founder out of Atlanta. What's his name? Watkins." "Watson," the second corrected. "Eli Watson. Kid's barely 30. Scaring the hell out of FedEx." They laughed. Eli turned his face away, let them pass. He didn't slow his step. The bus home was late, the kind with seats that squeaked and windows that rattled. He sat in the middle, hood up, fingers scrolling. On his screen, blocks of code, lines of legal forms, diagrams of warehouse networks. His app, his work. 3 years, built on night shifts and overtime, lunch breaks, and midnight runs for coffee. One alert blinked red. "Pending case filed. Non-payment, 3 weeks late." He tapped to open it, already drafting a response. At home, his mother's old couch groaned under him. The apartment smelled like starch and pine sol. On the wall above the desk hung a tie, navy silk, crookedly ironed, left behind once by a first-class passenger. Eli had kept it, not out of vanity, but as a quiet promise. One day. That night, he helped his downstairs neighbor draft a wage complaint. She had arthritis in her knuckles, couldn't grip a pen straight. Eli sat beside her, reading aloud each section. "You gotta use their words," he said quietly. "Make 'em play their own game." When he was alone again, he opened his browser and booked the ticket. First class. Direct to Chicago. He used a business email, low profile, no photo. He didn't want attention, just accuracy. The suit came from a second-hand store on Peachtree. Good shoulders, still smelled faintly of someone else's cologne. He stood in the narrow hallway of his apartment, adjusting the lapels, whispering lines to his reflection. "Excuse me." "Yes. That's my seat." No, I believe you've made a mistake." "Actually, yes, that's my name." The morning of the flight, he stood beneath the fluorescent lights of the terminal, the same one where he used to clean gum off linoleum. But this time, no badge, no mop, just a boarding pass, a straight back, and the steady click of polished shoes. At check-in, the woman behind the desk barely looked up. "ID?" He handed it over. She paused. blinked. Something in her face tightened, almost imperceptibly. "This is for first class?" "Yes." She tapped at her keyboard. Her eyes flicked up, scanning his face. He felt the weight of her glance. Not suspicion, but something more. Habitual. There was a silence. Not long, but long enough. "Are you sure this is yours?" He smiled slightly. No teeth. "I'm sure." A pause, brittle and humming. She pressed her lips together, then printed the tag and passed back the boarding pass like it weighed something. "Gate 42. Eli nodded, stepped aside. His fingers curled lightly around the handle of his carry-on. He didn't rush. He walked past coffee kiosks and perfume counters, past tired parents and business travelers pacing on calls. He moved like he belonged, like he had nothing to prove. But under the pressed shirt, beneath the knot of that tie, his chest beat fast. He reached the gate. Early, sat in the corner, the kind of seat that faces no one. To his left, a man in loafers glanced at him, then away. Behind the desk, another uniformed agent began calling boarding groups in a voice just louder than necessary. First class wasn't called yet, but people were already lining up. Eli waited until it was time. Then he stood, stepped forward. There was a moment, small, almost invisible, when the gate agent's smile faltered. She took his ticket, looked at it, then looked at him. Not unkindly, but cautiously. She opened her mouth. One moment, please." Her hand hovered, not over the scanner, but over the desk phone. She didn't scan the pass. Instead, she gestured to the side. "Could you wait right over there, sir? Just a moment." Eli turned his head slightly. The carpet beneath his shoes was deep red. He stepped aside. Behind him, the next man in line, a white guy with silver hair and a golf jacket, shifted uncomfortably. Pretended not to notice. Eli looked straight ahead. The buzz of the airport carried on, but around him a quiet formed, a soft gravity. He waited. No complaint, no question. Just a stillness, sharp and solid as glass. And across from him, the agent lifted the phone. Her voice low, words clipped. "Hi, can I get a supervisor at gate 42, please? Passenger issue." She didn't look at him again. He could hear the distant sound of a baby crying, a woman dragging a suitcase, the whir of a floor buffer 2 terminals over. His ticket was still in her hand. In the reflection of the glass, he saw himself. Still. Waiting. The crowd moved, but he did not. And then, footsteps approached. Heavy, fast, official, and Eli's fingers twitched once, just slightly, over the crease of his coat. Not yet. But soon. The gate agent didn't meet his eyes when the supervisor arrived. A tall man in a slate-gray blazer, tie knotted tight, clipboard in hand. He didn't introduce himself. "This your ticket?" he asked, crisp and clipped, holding up the pass like it was under review. Eli nodded once. "Yes, Eli Watson." The man turned the ticket over, examined it longer than necessary. His lips barely moved. Then, "Mind stepping over here a second?" Same words, different tone, sharper. Eli followed. The carpet muffled their steps. Behind them, the line resumed. Passengers filtered past, casting sideways glances, some curious, some avoiding altogether. One woman murmured something to her husband. Probably some kind of mistake. The supervisor gestured to a chair near the wall. "We're just checking something. Won't be long." Eli didn't sit. He stood. hands clasped lightly in front of him, like in church. His heart was steady now, the pause before a storm. More passengers trickled by. A few looked directly at him now. A man in a Patagonia vest frowned. A teenage girl held up her phone for a second, as if to take a photo, then thought better of it. But her eyes lingered. The supervisor returned, flanked now by a younger woman in a headset. She smiled tight. "Mr. Watson, we'd like to offer you a seat in business class instead. Just for today. There's a minor seat configuration issue." Eli blinked slowly, tilted his head. "No thank you," he said, voice even. "I paid for first class. I'd like to take my assigned seat." A beat of silence. The woman's smile twitched. "It's a very comfortable seat. Exit row. Lots of space." Eli's eyes didn't move. "I'll keep my original seat, thank you." The man in the blazer shifted his weight. His jaw flexed once. "Sir, I'm asking you—" "No," Eli said, quiet but immovable. "I'm not asking for an upgrade or a favor. Just what I paid for." Someone nearby was filming now. The soft red glow of a recording icon flickered in the reflection of the window. The agent noticed. Her posture stiffened. The murmur began behind them, like wind before rain. A white-haired man whispered to the woman beside him, "He's not causing trouble, is he?" Another man, younger in a hoodie, leaned slightly sideways, phone raised, thumb tapping. Somewhere, someone muttered, "Damn, this about to go viral." The agent looked toward the supervisor. He gave the smallest shake of his head. The woman exhaled, stepped forward again. "I'm sorry, Mr. Watson. It's just protocol." Eli didn't answer. He stepped forward. His voice was gentle, careful. "I understand, but I'm not moving." And then the moment broke. Not with a shout, but with a voice, small and clear. "Hey," a passenger called. "Why can't he sit in his seat?" Another followed. "If he paid for it, what's the problem?" Then, louder. "Why are y'all giving him the runaround?" The supervisor turned, too slow. Behind him the crowd stirred, a chorus of shifting weight, of new voices joining, some indignant, some sharp. "He got a valid ticket? He's got his ID? So what's the holdup?" One woman near the boarding lane pulled out her earbuds. "Wait, is that Eli Watson? Like Watson Logix?" A ripple moved through the crowd like a dropped stone in still water. The phone cameras caught it all. The awkward faces, the stiff shoulders, the dawning realization on the gate agent's face. Someone said, low and stunned, "That's him?" Even the supervisor blinked now. His posture faltered for half a breath. Eli didn't move, didn't raise his voice, just stood, watching the tremor grow. Not from him, but around him. Behind him, a boy no older than 10 tugged at his mother's sleeve. "Mom," the boy whispered, not taking his eyes off Eli. "We learned about him in school, the app guy." The mother didn't answer. She just looked. The younger woman in the headset stepped back. Her hands were fidgeting with her lanyard. The crowd was louder now. Phones out. Murmurs rising. Let him board. This is a lawsuit waiting to happen. This ain't a good look, man." Then silence again. Strange and thick. From the far end of the terminal, a new figure approached. An older man. No lanyard, no headset. Navy blazer, soft leather shoes. He moved with authority that didn't need announcement. The staff cleared a path instinctively. He stopped in front of Eli. looked him in the eye. "Mr. Watson?" His voice was calm, measured, a politician's tone. "I'm the regional director for this terminal. I want to personally apologize for the inconvenience." Eli didn't blink. His hands were still at his sides. His voice was steady. "I wasn't looking for an apology," he said. Just my seat." The man nodded slowly. "Understood." A pause. Then gently, the older man gestured. "Please, this way." And the crowd parted. Not like a celebration. Not like victory, like silence after thunder. Eli walked past them, past the gate, past the blinking scanners and the blinking eyes. No cheers, no claps. Just a quiet ripple of people stepping aside. And this time, no one asked if he belonged. He stepped into the cabin of the plane. Leather seats, dimmed lights, the scent of brewed coffee and stale altitude. He took his seat, and for a moment, no one else moved. Only the child, still watching, his hands pressed against the window, whispered, like telling a secret to the sky. "Mom." He didn't even yell. The post went live less than an hour after takeoff. No hashtags, no callouts, no dramatic caption, just a photo, taken from behind. A man standing calm at the boarding gate, shoulders squared, agents facing him like a wall. The caption read, "I didn't ask for privilege, just the seat I paid for. Sometimes that's enough. EW." By the time Eli landed in Chicago, his phone buzzed like a warning signal. Screenshots, news pings, texts from numbers he hadn't saved. A cousin he hadn't heard from in 5 years sent, "Bro, you blew up." He didn't answer. He didn't repost. He didn't explain. The media did that for him. Black CEO denied first-class seat. Internet responds. Invisible no more. The quiet power of Eli Watson. The face of modern advocacy isn't loud. It's precise. Talk show clips, podcasts dissecting body language, Twitter threads quoting his silence like scripture. Eli watched none of it. He sat in the back of a quiet cafe, hoodie up, fingers moving over his laptop. Not for tweets, not for press. For the app, the real work. Watson Logics went live 3 days later. The first version didn't even have a logo. Just a clean interface. Know your rights. File a report. Connect to counsel. No mission statement. Just action. He didn't hold a press conference. He didn't make a trailer. He didn't say, "We're here to change the system." He just let it run. And still, the calls came. A famous news anchor wanted an exclusive. A senator's office left a voicemail. The airline offered a settlement, and then came the real one. An invitation, polished, professional, but dripping with performance. Would he consider chairing their new diversity and inclusion board? There would be press. There would be panels. There would be photo ops with folded hands and borrowed remorse. Eli read the email, then deleted it. No reply. Later that month, he stood on stage at a logistics conference in Nashville, not as a figurehead, but as a speaker. A worker. The stage lights were warm on his face. The crowd held hundreds. His voice didn't tremble. "Respect," he said, "is not a panel discussion. It's not a statement. It's action. It's when no one has to raise their voice to be seen." No applause break. No dramatics. Just quiet. And then stillness. Someone in the third row, a man with calloused hands and a warehouse badge clipped to his collar, nodded once. That was enough. Weeks later, Eli returned to the same airport. Not to fly, just to visit. Same terminal, same red carpet. He moved through slowly, unnoticed at first. This time he wasn't in uniform, not in a suit either. Just jeans, jacket, clean sneakers. Someone at the cafe counter looked twice. A custodian sweeping by gave a small smile. He smiled back. When he reached gate 42, no one stopped him. The staff behind the counter glanced up and paused, not out of suspicion, recognition. A manager leaned in, whispered something, and then, the smallest thing, they stood a little straighter. At the far end of the concourse, he saw her, a young black woman in a deep blue dress, small suitcase by her leg. She stepped up to the counter, handed over her ticket, waited. The agent looked at it, then looked at her. And this time, there was no pause, no glance to the side, just a scan, a nod, a smile. "Thank you, ma'am, you're all set." Eli stood still, watching. She boarded the plane without hesitation, and he stayed where he was, letting it all settle. The buzz of the place, the distant chime of a gate change, the low hum of luggage wheels rolling by. In his pocket, his phone vibrated. A new notification. The first user had filed a complaint through the app, a cleaning shift, pay withheld for 2 weeks. The case was already processing. He opened the message thread. User, night shift Janet message. "I don't know if this works, but I'm tired of waiting. Thank you for building it." He read it twice, then typed simply, "We hear you. We're with you. You won't be invisible anymore." He closed the phone, tightened the old tie around his neck, the one from years ago, still slightly faded but now perfectly knotted, and he walked on, unnoticed again. But not unseen.